How soon hath time, the subtle thief of youth, stolen on his wing my 23 year. My hasting days fly on with full career, but my late spring no bud or blossom showeth. Perhaps my semblance might deceive the truth, that I to manhood am arrived so near, and inward ripeness doth much less appear, that some more timely happy spirits endureth. Yet be it less or more, or soon or slow, it shall be still in strictest measure even, to that same lot, however mean or high, toward which time leads me, and the will of heaven. All is, if I have grace to use it so, as ever in my great taskmaster's eye. Fly, envious time, till thou run out thy race. Call on the lazy leaden-stepping hours, whose speed is but the heavy plummet's pace, and glut thyself with what thy womb devours, which is no more than what is false and vain, and merely mortal dross. So little is our loss, so little is thy gain. For when as each thing bad thou hast entombed, and last of all thy greedy self consumed, then long eternity shall greet our bliss with an individual kiss, and joy shall overtake us as a flood, when everything that is sincerely good and perfectly divine, with truth and peace and love shall ever shine about the supreme throne of him to whose happy making sight alone, when once our heavenly guided soul shall climb, then all this earthy grossness quit, attired with stars we shall for ever sit, triumphing over death and chance and thee, O time. This is the month, and this the happy morn, wherein the Son of Heaven's eternal King, of wedded maid and virgin mother born, our great redemption from above did bring. For so the holy sages once did sing, that he our deadly forfeit should release, and with his Father work us a perpetual peace. That glorious form, that light unsufferable, and that far-beaming blaze of majesty, wherewith he wont at heaven's high council table to sit the midst of trinal unity, he laid aside, and here with us to be, forsook the courts of everlasting day, and chose with us a darksome house of mortal clay. Say, heavenly Muse, shall not thy sacred vein afford a present to the infant God? Hast thou no verse, no hymn, or solemn strain, to welcome him to this his new abode? Now, while the heaven by the sun's team untrod hath took no print of the approaching light, and all the spangled host keep watch in squadrons bright, see how from far upon the eastern road the star-led wizards haste with odours sweet. O run, prevent them with thy humble ode, and lay it lowly at his blessed feet. Have thou the honour first thy Lord to greet, and join thy voice unto the angel choir, from out his secret altar touched with hallowed fire. It was the winter wild, while the heaven-born child all meanly wrapped in the rude manger lies. Nature, in awe to him, had doffed her gaudy trim, with her great master so to sympathize. It was no season then for her to wanton with the sun, her lusty paramour. Only with speeches fair she woos the gentle air to hide her guilty front with innocent snow, and on her naked shame pollute with sinful blame the saintly veil of maiden white to throw, confounded that her Maker's eyes should look so near upon her foul deformities. But he, her fears to cease, sent down the meek-eyed peace. She, crowned with olive green, came softly sliding down through the turning sphere, his ready harbinger, with turtle wing the amorous clouds dividing. And waving wide her myrtle wand, she strikes a universal peace through sea and land. No war or battle sound was heard the world around. The idle spear and shield were high uphung. The hooked chariot stood unstained with hostile blood. The trumpet spake not to the armed throng. And kings sat still with awful eye, as if they surely knew their sovereign lord was by. But peaceful was the night, wherein the Prince of Light his reign of peace upon the earth began. The winds with wonder whist, smoothly the waters kissed, whispering new joys to the mild ocean, who now hath quite forgot to rave, while birds of calm sit brooding on the charmed wave. The stars, with deep amaze, stand fixed in steadfast gaze, bending one way their precious influence, and will not take their flight for all the morning light, or Lucifer that often warned them thence, but in their glimmering orbs did glow, until their Lord himself bespake, and bid them go. And though the shady gloom had given day her room, the sun himself withheld his wonted speed, and hid his head for shame, as his inferior flame the new enlightened world no more should need. He saw a greater sun appear than his bright throne or burning axle-tree could bear. The shepherds on the lawn, or ere the point of dawn, sat simply chatting in a rustic row. For little thought they then that the mighty Pan was kindly come to live with them below. Perhaps their loves, or else their sheep, was all that did their silly thoughts so busy keep. When such music sweet their hearts and ears did greet, as never was by mortal finger strook, divinely warbled voice, answering the stringed noise, as all their souls in blissful rapture took, the air such pleasure loath to lose, with thousand echoes still prolongs each heavenly close. Nature, that heard such sound beneath the hollow round of Cynthia's seat, the airy region thrilling, now was almost won to think her part was done, and that her reign had here its last fulfilling. She knew such harmony alone could hold all heaven and earth in happier union. At last surrounds their sight a globe of circular light, that with long beams the shamefaced night arrayed. The helmed cherubim and sworded seraphim are seen in glittering ranks with wings displayed, harping in loud and solemn choir with unexpressive notes to heaven's new-born air. Such music, as 'tis said, before was never made, but when of old the sons of morning sung, while the Creator great his constellations set, and the well-balanced world on hinges hung, and cast the dark foundations deep, and bid the weltering waves their oozy channel keep. Ring out, ye crystal spheres! Once bless our human ears, if ye have power to touch our senses so, and let your silver chime move in melodious time, and let the bass of heaven's deep organ blow, and with your ninefold harmony make up full consort to the angelic symphony. For if such holy song enwrap our fancy long, time will run back and fetch the age of gold, and speckled vanity will sicken soon and die, and leprous sin will melt from earthly mould, and hell itself will pass away, and leave her dolorous mansions to the peering day. Yea, truth and justice then will down return to men, the enamelled arras of the rainbow wearing, and mercy set between, throned in celestial sheen, with radiant feet the tissued clouds down steering. And heaven, as at some festival, will open wide the gates of her high palace hall. But wisest fate says no, this must not yet be so. The babe lies yet in smiling infancy, that on the bitter cross must redeem our loss, so both himself and us to glorify. Yet first, to those it chained in sleep, the wakeful trump of doom must thunder through the deep, with such a horrid clang as on Mount Sinai rang, while the red fire and smouldering clouds outbreak. The aged earth, aghast with terror of that blast, shall from the surface to the centre shake, when at the world's last session the dreadful judge in middle air shall spread his throne. And then at last our bliss full and perfect is. But now begins. For from this happy day the old dragon underground, in straiter limits bound, not half so far casts his usurped sway, and wrath to see his kingdom fail, swinges the scaly horror of his folded tail. The oracles are dumb. No voice or hideous hum runs through the arched roof in words deceiving. Apollo from his shrine can no more divine, with hollow shriek the steep of Delphos leaving. No nightly trance or breathed spell inspires the pale-eyed priest from the prophetic cell. The lonely mountains o'er, and the resounding shore, a voice of weeping heard, and loud lament. From haunted spring and dale, edged with poplar pale, the parting genius is with sighing sent. With flower inwoven tresses torn, the nymphs in twilight shade of tangled thickets mourn. In consecrated earth, and on the holy hearth, the Lars and Lemures moan with midnight plaint. In urns and altars round, a drear and dying sound affrights the flamens at their service quaint. And the chill marble seems to sweat, while each peculiar power forgoes his wonted seat. Peor and Baalim forsake their temples dim, with that twice battered god of Palestine. And mooned Ashtaroth, heaven's queen and mother both, now sits not girt with tapers' holy shine. The Libyc Hammon shrinks his horn, in vain the Tyrian maids their wounded Thamers mourn. And sullen Moloch fled, hath left in shadows dread his burning idol, all of blackest hue. In vain with cymbals ring they call the grisly king, in dismal dance about the furnace blue. The brutish gods of Nile as fast, Isis and Horus, and the dog Anubis haste. Nor is Osiris seen, in Memphian grove or green, trampling the unshowered grass with lowings loud. Nor can he be at rest within his sacred chest, naught but profoundest hell can be his shroud. In vain with timbrelled anthems dark, the sable-stoled sorcerers bear his worshipped ark. He feels from Judah's land the dreaded infant's hand, the rays of Bethlehem blind his dusky eyne. Nor all the gods beside longer dare abide, not Typhon huge ending in snaky twine. Our babe, to show his godhead true, can in his swaddling bands control the damned crew. So when the sun in bed, curtained with cloudy red, pillows his chin upon an orient wave, the flocking shadows pale troop to the infernal jail, each fettered ghost slips to his several grave, and the yellow-skirted fays fly after the night steeds, leaving their moon-loved maze. But see, the Virgin blest hath laid her babe to rest. Time is our tedious song should here have ending. Heaven's youngest teamed star hath fixed her polished car, her sleeping lord with handmaid lamp attending. And all about the courtly stable, bright harnessed angels sit in order serviceable.
Hence, vain deluding joys, the brood of folly without father bred. How little you bested, or fill the fixed mind with all your toys. Dwell in some idle brain, and fancies fond with gaudy shapes possess, as thick and numberless as the gay motes that people the sunbeams, or likest hovering dreams the fickle pensioners of Morpheus' train. But hail, thou goddess, sage and holy, hail, divinest melancholy, whose saintly visage is too bright to hit the sense of human sight, and therefore to our weaker view o'erlaid with black staid wisdom's hue. Black, but such as in esteem Prince Memnon's sister might beseem, or that starred Ethiop queen that strove to set her beauty's praise above the sea nymphs and their powers offended. Yet thou art higher far descended. Thee bright-haired Vesta long of yore to solitary Saturn bore. His daughter she, in Saturn's reigns that mixture was not held a stain. Oft in glimmering bowers and glades he met her, and in secret shades of woody Ida's inmost grove, while yet there was no fear of Jove. Come, pensive nun, devout and pure, sober, steadfast, and demure, all in a robe of darkest grain, flowing with majestic train, and sable stole of cypress lawn over thy decent shoulders drawn. Come, but keep thy wonted state, with even step and musing gait, and looks commercing with the skies, thy rapt soul sitting in thine eyes. There held in holy passion still, forget thyself to marble, till with a sad leaden downward cast thou fix them on the earth as fast. And join with thee calm peace and quiet, spare fast that oft with gods doth diet, and hears the muses in a ring aye round about Jove's altar sing, and add to these retired leisure that in trim gardens takes his pleasure. But first and chiefest with thee bring him that yon soars on golden wing, guiding the fiery wheeled throne, the cherub Contemplation. And the mute Silence hissed along, lest Philomel will deign a song, in her sweetest, saddest plight, smoothing the rugged brow of night, while Cynthia checks her dragon yoke gently o'er the accustomed oak. Sweet bird that shunts the noise of folly, most musical, most melancholy, thee, chantress oft the woods among, I woo to hear thy even song. And missing thee, I walk unseen on the dry, smooth, shaven green, to behold the wandering moon riding near her highest noon, like one that had been led astray through the heaven's wide pathless way, and oft, as if her head she bowed, stooping through a fleecy cloud. Oft on a plat of rising ground I hear the far-off curfew sound, over some wide-watered shore, swinging slow with sullen roar. Or, if the air will not permit, some still removed place will fit, where glowing embers through the room teach light to counterfeit a gloom, far from all resort of mirth, save the cricket on the hearth, or the bellman's drowsy charm to bless the doors from nightly harm. Or let my lamp at midnight hour be seen in some high lonely tower, where I may oft outwatch the bear, with thrice great Hermes, or unsphere the spirit of Plato to unfold what worlds or what vast regions hold the immortal mind that hath forsook her mansion in this fleshly nook. And of those demons that are found in fire, air, flood, or underground, whose power hath a true consent with planet or with element. Sometime let gorgeous tragedy in sceptred pall come sweeping by, presenting Thebes or Pelops' line, or the tale of Troy divine, or what, though rare, of later age, ennobled hath the buskined stage. But, O sad virgin, that thy power might raise Musaeus from his bower, or bid the soul of Orpheus sing such notes as warble to the string, drew iron tears down Pluto's cheek, and made hell grant what love did seek. Or call up him that left half told the story of Combuscan bold, of Campbell and of Algarsife, and who had Canice to wife, that owned the virtuous ring and glass, and of the wondrous horse of brass on which the Tartar king did ride. And if aught else, great bards beside, in sage and solemn tunes have sung, of tourneys and of trophies hung, of forests and enchantments drear, where more is meant than meets the ear. Thus, night, oft see me in thy pale career, till civil-suited morn appear, not tricked and frounced as she was wont with the Attic boy to hunt, but kerchiefed in a comely cloud, while rocking winds are piping loud, or ushered with a shower still, when the gust hath blown his fill, ending on the rustling leaves with minute drops from off the eaves. And when the sun begins to fling his flaring beams, me goddess bring to arched walks of twilight groves, and shadows brown that sylvan loves, of pine or monumental oak, where the rude axe with heaved stroke was never heard the nymphs to daunt, or fright them from their hallowed haunt. There, in close covert by some brook, where no profaner eye may look, hide me from day's garish eye, while the bee with honeyed thigh that at her flowery work doth sing, and the waters murmuring, with such consort as they keep, entice the dewy feathered sleep. And let some strange mysterious dream wave at his wings in airy stream of lively portraiture displayed, softly on my eyelids laid. And as I wake, sweet music breathe above, about, or underneath, sent by some spirit to mortals good, or the unseen genius of the wood. But let my dew feet never fail to walk the studious cloisters pale, and love the high embowed roof, with antique pillars massy proof, and storied windows richly dight, casting a dim religious light. There let the pealing organ blow to the full-voiced choir below, in service high and anthems clear, as may with sweetness through mine ear dissolve me into ecstasies, and bring all heaven before mine eyes. And may at last my weary age find out the peaceful hermitage, the hairy gown and mossy cell, where I may sit and rightly spell of every star that heaven doth show, and every herb that sips the dew, till old experience do attain to something like prophetic strain. These pleasures melancholy give, and I with thee will choose to live.
Blessed pair of sirens, pledges of heaven's joy, sphere-born harmonious sisters, voice and verse, wed your divine sounds, and mixed power employ dead things with inbreathed sense able to pierce, and to our high-raised fantasy present that undisturbed song of pure consent, A sung before the sapphire-coloured throne to him that sits thereon, with saintly shout and solemn jubilee, where the bright seraphim in burning row their loud uplifted angel trumpets blow, and the cherubic host in thousand choirs touch their immortal harps of golden wires, with those just spirits that wear victorious palms, hymns devout and holy psalms singing everlastingly, that we on earth with undiscording voice may rightly answer that melodious noise, as once we did, till disproportioned sin jarred against nature's chime, and with harsh din broke the fair music that all creatures made to their great Lord, whose love their motion swayed in perfect diapason, whilst they stood in first obedience and their state of good. Oh, may we soon again renew that song, and keep in tune with heaven, till God ere long to his celestial consort us unite, to live with him and sing in endless morn of light.
Harry, whose tuneful and well-measured song first taught our English music how to span words with just note and accent, not to scan with Midas ears, committing short and long. Thy worth and skill exempts thee from the throng, with praise enough for envy to look wan. To after age thou shalt be writ the man that with smooth air couldst humour best our tongue. Thou honour'st verse, and verse must lend her wing to honour thee, the priest of Phoebus' choir, that tun'st their happiest lines in hymn or story. Dante shall give fame leave to set thee higher than his Casella, whom he wooed to sing, met in the milder shades of purgatory. Methought I saw my late espoused saint brought to me like Alcestis from the grave, whom Jove's great son to her glad husband gave, rescued from death by force, though pale and faint. Mine, as whom washed from spot of childbed taint, purification in the old law did save, and such as yet once more I trust to have full sight of her in heaven without restraint, came vested all in white, pure as her mind. Her face was veiled, yet to my fancied sight love, sweetness, goodness in her person shined so clear as in no face with more delight. But oh, as to embrace me she inclined, I waked, she fled, and day brought back my night. Avenge, O Lord, thy slaughtered saints, whose bones lie scattered on the Alpine mountains cold, even them who kept thy truth so pure of old, when all our fathers worshipped stocks and stones. Forget not, in thy book record their groans, who were thy sheep, and in their ancient fold, slain by the bloody Piemontese that rolled mother with infant down the rocks. Their moans the vales redoubled to the hills, and they to heaven. Their martyred blood and ashes sow o'er all the Italian fields, where still doth sway the triple tyrant, that from these may grow 100-fold, who having learnt thy way, early may fly the Babylonian woe. Cromwell, our chief of men, who through a cloud not of war only, but detractions rude, guided by faith and matchless fortitude, to peace and truth thy glorious way hast ploughed, and on the neck of crowned fortune proud hast reared God's trophies, and his work pursued, while Darwen's stream with blood of Scots imbrued, and Dunbar field resounds thy praises loud, and Worcester's laureate wreath. Yet much remains to conquer still. Peace hath her victories, no less renowned than war. New foes arise, threatening to bind our souls with secular chains. Help us to save free conscience from the paw of hireling wolves, whose gospel is their maw. Fairfax, whose name in arms through Europe rings, filling each mouth with envy or with praise, and all her jealous monarchs with amaze, and rumours loud that daunt remotest kings, thy firm unshaken virtue ever brings victory home, though new rebellions raise their hydra heads, and the false North displays her broken league to imp their serpent wings. Oh, yet a nobler task awaits thy hand. For what can war but endless war still breed, till truth and right from violence be freed, and public faith cleared from the shameful brand of public fraud? In vain doth valor bleed, while avarice and rapine share the land.
Captain or colonel, or knight in arms, whose chance on these defenceless doors may seize, if ever deed of honour did thee please, guard them, and him within protect from harms. He can requite thee, for he knows the charms that call fame on such gentle acts as these, and he can spread thy name o'er lands and seas, whatever clime the sun's bright circle warms. Lift not thy spear against the Muses' bower. The great Emathian conqueror bid spare the house of Pindarus, when temple and tower went to the ground. And the repeated air of sad Electra's poet had the power to save the Athenian walls from ruin bare. Hence, loathed melancholy, of Cerberus and blackest midnight born, in Stygian cave forlorn, mongst horrid shapes and shrieks and sights unholy, find out some uncouth cell, where brooding darkness spreads his jealous wings, and the night raven sings. There, under ebon shades and low-browed rocks, as ragged as thy locks, in dark Cimmerian desert ever dwell. But come, thou goddess fair and free, in heaven yclept Euphrosyne, and by men heart-easing Mirth, whom lovely Venus at a birth with two sister Graces more to ivy-crowned Bacchus bore. Or whether, as some sager sing, the frolic wind that breathes the spring, Zephyr with Aurora playing, as he met her once a-maying, there on beds of violets blue and fresh-blown roses washed in dew, filled her with thee, a daughter fair, so buxom, blithe, and debonair. Haste thee, nymph, and bring with thee jest and youthful jollity, quips and cranks and wanton wiles, nods and becks and wreathed smiles, such as hang on Hebe's cheek and love to live in dimple sleek. Sport that wrinkled care derides, and laughter holding both his sides. Come and trip it as ye go on the light fantastic toe, and in thy right hand lead with thee the mountain nymph sweet Liberty. And if I give thee honour due, Mirth, admit me of thy crew, to live with her and live with thee in unreproved pleasures free. To hear the lark begin his flight, and singing startle the dull night from his watchtower in the skies, till the dappled dawn doth rise. Then to come in spite of sorrow, and at my window bid good morrow, through the sweet briar, or the vine, or the twisted eglantine, while the cock with lively din scatters the rear of darkness thin, and to the stack or the barn door stoutly struts his dames before, oft listening how the hounds and horn cheerly rouse the slumbering morn from the side of some hoar hill, through the high wood echoing shrill. Sometime walking, not unseen, by hedgerow elms on hillocks green, right against the eastern gate, where the great sun begins his state, robed in flames and amber light, the clouds in thousand liveries dight, while the ploughman near at hand whistles o'er the furrowed land, and the milkmaid singeth blithe, and the mower whets his scythe, and every shepherd tells his tale under the hawthorn in the dale. Straight mine eye hath caught new pleasures, whilst the landscape round it measures. Russet lawns and fallows grey, where the nibbling flocks do stray, mountains on whose barren breast the labouring clouds do often rest, meadows trim with daisies pied, shallow brooks and rivers wide, towers and battlements it sees, bosomed high in tufted trees, where perhaps some beauty lies, the cynosure of neighbouring eyes. Hard by, a cottage chimney smokes from betwixt two aged oaks, where Corydon and Thyrsis met are at their savoury dinner set of herbs and other country messes, which the neat-handed Phyllis dresses. And then in haste her bower she leaves, with Thestilis to bind the sheaves. Or if the earlier season lead, to the tanned haycock in the mead, sometimes with secure delight the upland hamlets will invite, when the merry bells ring round, and the jocund rebecks sound, to many a youth and many a maid, dancing in the checkered shade, and young and old come forth to play on a sunshine holiday, till the livelong daylight fail. Then to the spicy nut-brown ale, with stories told of many a feat, how Fairy Mab the junkets eat. She was pinched and pulled, she said, and he, by Friar's lanthorn led, tells how the drudging goblin sweat to earn his cream bowl duly set, when in one night, ere glimpse of morn, his shadowy flail hath threshed the corn that 10 day labourers could not end. Then lies him down the lubber fiend, and stretched out all the chimney's length, basks at the fire his hairy strength. And cropful out of doors he flings, ere the first cock his matin rings. Thus done the tales, to bed they creep, by whispering winds soon lulled asleep. Towered cities please us then, and the busy hum of men, where throngs of knights and barons bold in weeds of peace high triumphs hold, with store of ladies whose bright eyes rain influence and judge the prize of wit or arms, while both contend to win her grace whom all commend. There let Hymen oft appear, in saffron robe with taper clear, and pomp and feast and revelry, with masque and antique pageantry, such sights as youthful poets dream on summer eves by haunted stream. Then to the well-trod stage anon, if Johnson's learned sock be on, or sweetest Shakespeare, fancy's child, warble his native wood notes wild. And ever against eating cares, lap me in soft Lydian airs, married to immortal verse, such as the meeting soul may pierce in notes, with many a winding bout of linked sweetness long drawn out, with wanton heed and giddy cunning, the melting voice through mazes running, untwisting all the chains that tie the hidden soul of harmony, that Orpheus' self may heave his head from golden slumber on a bed of heaped Elysian flowers, and hear such strains as would have won the ear of Pluto, to have quite set free his half-regained Eurydice. These delights, if thou canst give, mirth, with thee I mean to live.
Lawrence, of virtuous father, virtuous son, now that the fields are dank and ways are mire, where shall we sometimes meet, and by the fire help waste a sullen day, what may be won from the hard season gaining? Time will run on smoother, till Favonius re-inspire the frozen earth, and clothe in fresh attire the lily and rose that neither sowed nor spun. What neat repast shall feast us, light and choice of Attic taste, with wine, whence we may rise to hear the lute well touched, or artful voice warble immortal notes and Tuscan air? He who of those delights can judge, and spare to interpose them oft, is not unwise. Cyriack, whose grandsire on the royal bench of British Themis, with no mean applause pronounced, and in his volumes taught our laws, which others at their bar so often wrench, today deep thoughts resolve with me to drench in mirth, that after no repenting draws. Let Euclid rest, and Archimedes pause, and what the Swede intend, and what the French. To measure life, learn thou betimes, and know towards solid good what leads the nearest way. For other things mild heaven a time ordains, and disapproves that care, though wise in show, that with superfluous burden loads the day, and when God sends a cheerful hour, refrains. Cyriack, this 3 years' day these eyes, though clear to outward view of blemish or of spot, bereft of light their seeing have forgot, nor to their idle orbs doth sight appear of sun or moon or star throughout the year, or man or woman. Yet I argue not against heaven's hand or will, nor bate a jot of heart or hope, but still bear up and steer right onward. What supports me, dost thou ask? The conscience, friend, to have lost them overplied in liberty's defence, my noble task, of which all Europe talks from side to side. This thought might lead me through the world's vain mask, content though blind, had I no better guide. When I consider how my light is spent ere half my days in this dark world and wide, and that one talent which is death to hide, lodged with me useless, though my soul more bent to serve therewith my Maker, and present my true account, lest he returning chide. Doth God exact day labor, light denied, I fondly ask? But patience, to prevent that murmur, soon replies, God doth not need either man's work or his own gifts. Who best bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. His state is kingly. Thousands at his bidding speed, and post o'er land and ocean without rest. They also serve, who only stand and wait.
Yet once more, O ye laurels, and once more, ye myrtles brown, with ivy never sere, I come to pluck your berries harsh and crude, and with forced fingers rude shatter your leaves before the mellowing year. Bitter constraint and sad occasion dear compels me to disturb your season due. For Lycidas is dead, dead ere his prime, young Lycidas, and hath not left his peer. Who would not sing for Lycidas? He knew himself to sing and build the lofty rhyme. He must not float upon his watery bier unwept, and welter to the parching wind without the meed of some melodious tear. Begin then, sisters of the sacred well, that from beneath the seat of Jove doth spring, begin, and somewhat loudly sweep the string. Hence with denial vain and coy excuse, so may some gentle muse with lucky words favour my destined urn, and as he passes turn and bid fair peace be to my sable shroud. For we were nursed upon the self-same hill, fed the same flock by fountain, shade, and rill. Together both, ere the high lawns appeared under the opening eyelids of the morn, we drove afield, and both together heard what time the grey fly winds her sultry horn, battening our flocks with the fresh dews of night, oft till the star that rose at evening bright toward heaven's descent had sloped his westering wheel. Meanwhile the rural ditties were not mute, tempered to the oaten flute. Rough satyrs danced, and fawns with cloven heel from the glad sound would not be absent long, and old Dametas loved to hear our song. But oh, the heavy change, now thou art gone, now thou art gone, and never must return. Thee, shepherd, thee the woods and desert caves, with wild thyme and the gadding vine o'ergrown, and all their echoes mourn. The willows and the hazel copses green shall now no more be seen, fanning their joyous leaves to thy soft lays. As killing is the canker to the rose, or taintworm to the weanling herds that graze, or frost to flowers that their gay wardrop wear when first the white thorn blows, such, Lycidas, thy loss to shepherd's ear. Where were ye nymphs when the remorseless deep closed o'er the head of your loved Lycidas. For neither were ye playing on the steep, where your old bards, the famous Druids, lie, nor on the shaggy top of Mona high, nor yet where Diva spreads her wizard stream. Ay me, I fondly dream. Had ye been there, for what could that have done? What could the Muse herself that Orpheus bore, the Muse herself for her enchanting son, whom universal nature did lament, when by the rout that made the hideous roar, his gory visage down the stream was sent, down the swift Hebrus to the Lesbian shore? Alas, what boots it with uncessant care to tend the homely slighted shepherd's trade, and strictly meditate the thankless Muse? Were it not better done as others use, to sport with Amaryllis in the shade, or with the tangles of Neaera's hair? Fame is the spur that the clear spirit doth raise, that last infirmity of noble mind, to scorn delights and live laborious days. But the fair guerdon when we hope to find, and think to burst out into sudden blaze, comes the blind fury with the abhorred shears, and slits the thin-spun life. But not the praise, Phoebus replied, and touched my trembling ears. Fame is no plant that grows on mortal soil, nor in the glistering foil set off to the world, nor in broad rumour lies, but lives and spreads aloft by those pure eyes and perfect witness of all judging Jove, as he pronounces lastly on each deed, of so much fame in heaven expect thy meed. O fountain Arethusa, and thou honoured flood, smooth sliding Mincius, crowned with vocal reeds, that strain I heard was of a higher mood. But now my oat proceeds, and listens to the herald of the sea, that came in Neptune's plea. He asked the waves, and asked the felon winds, what hard mishap hath doomed this gentle swain, and questioned every gust of rugged wings that blows from off each beaked promontory. They knew not of his story, and sage Hippotades their answer brings, that not a blast was from his dungeon strayed, the air was calm, and on the level brine sleek Panope with all her sisters played. It was that fatal and perfidious bark, built in the eclipse and rigged with curses dark, that sunk so low that sacred head of thine. Next Camus, reverend sire, went footing slow, his mantle hairy and his bonnet sedge, inwrought with figures dim, and on the edge like to that sanguine flower inscribed with woe. Ah, who hath reft, quoth he, my dearest pledge? Last came, and last did go, the pilot of the Galilean lake. Two massy keys he bore of metals twain, the golden opes, the iron shuts amain. He shook his mitred locks and stern bespake, how well could I have spared for thee, young swain, and now of such as for their bellies' sake creep and intrude and climb into the fold. Of other care they little reckoning make than how to scramble at the shearer's feast and shove away the worthy bidden guest. Blind mouths, that scarce themselves know how to hold a sheep-hook, or have learned aught else the least that to the faithful herdman's art belongs. What recks it them? What need they? They are sped, and when they list, their lean and flashy songs grate on their scrannel pipes of wretched straw. The hungry sheep look up, and are not fed, but swoln with wind, and the rank mist they draw rot inwardly, and foul contagion spread. Besides what the grim wolf with privy paw daily devours apace, and nothing said. But that two-handed engine at the door stands ready to smite once, and smite no more. Return, Alpheus, the dread voice is past, that shrunk thy streams. Return, Sicilian muse, and call the vales, and bid them hither cast their bells and flowerets of 1,000 hues. Ye valleys low, where the mild whispers use of shades and wanton winds and gushing brooks, on whose fresh lap the swart star sparely looks, throw hither all your quaint enamelled eyes, that on the green turf suck the honeyed showers, and purple all the ground with vernal flowers. Bring the wraith primrose that forsaken dies, the tufted croto and pale jessamine, the white pink and the pansy freaked with jet, the glowing violet, the musk rose and the well-attired woodbine, with cowslips wan that hang the pensive head, and every flower that sad embroidery wears. Bid amaranthus all his beauty shed, and daffodillies fill their cups with tears, to strew the laureate hearse where Lycid lies. For so to interpose a little ease, let our frail thoughts dally with false surmise. Ay me, whilst thee the shores and sounding seas wash far away, where'er thy bones are hurled, whether beyond the stormy Hebrides, where thou perhaps under the whelming tide visit the bottom of the monstrous world, or whether thou to our moist vows denied sleep'st by the fable of Bellerus old, where the great vision of the guarded mount looks toward Namancos and Bayona's hold. Look homeward, angel, now, and melt with ruth, and O ye dolphins, waft the hapless youth. Weep no more, woeful shepherds, weep no more, for Lycidas your sorrow is not dead, sunk though he be beneath the watery floor. So sinks the day-star in the ocean bed, and yet anon repairs his drooping head, and tricks his beams, and with new spangled ore flames in the forehead of the morning sky. So Lycidas sunk low, but mounted high, through the dear might of him that walked the waves, where other groves and other streams along, with nectar pure his oozy locks he laves, and hears the unexpressive nuptial song in the blessed kingdoms meek of joy and love. There entertain him all the saints above, in solemn troops and sweet societies that sing, and singing in their glory move and wipe the tears for ever from his eyes. Now, Lycidas, the shepherds weep no more. Henceforth thou art the genius of the shore, in thy large recompense, and shalt be good to all that wander in that perilous flood. Thus sang the uncouth swain to the oaks and rills, while the still morn went out with sandals grey. He touched the tender stops of various quills, with eager thought warbling his Doric lay. And now the sun had stretched out all the hills, and now was dropped into the western bay. At last he rose, and twitched his mantle blue. Tomorrow to fresh woods and pastures new.